And welcome back to Mr. Dragon Comic Review, coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. Sorry, I was a little distracted. Woody decided right when I said we're going to reach up and make noise in his mic. As always, I'm Daniel Doc Gentry. I'm your host for the evening, and with me is Woody and Alex, our gurus from Mr. Dragon. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello, Doc.
Way to ruin the intro, Woody.
I know.
It's not like we've been doing this for over a year.
Right?
I know.
So how's everybody doing? What you guys been up to this week?
Just going to work, keeping my car running.
Been working on animations, working on various art projects.
Okay.
All kinds of fun stuff.
I have been writing an RPG.
Oh, you two have been working on the RPG. Is that up for playtesting for anybody yet, or?
I am actually going to be putting the finishing touches on that in the next 48 hours.
So stay tuned to miniaturedragon.com, because I think that's where it's going, right?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working on a lot of the equipment right now, trying to figure that out and work out, basically I just have to get the equipment posted and get the, figure out what things are going to cost, finalize that detail, and then it'll pretty much be ready to go. And then the next thing I work on is spend the next 2 weeks rewriting cyberspace, and but everything else will be there. That's needed to get that part started.
All right. Well, speaking of cyberspace, we're doing Self-Made this week from Image Comics. Just to let you know, the writer wanted to come on the show, but it's Easter Sunday because we're really good with this stuff. I didn't really remember it either, so I'm terrible as well. So why don't you give us a little history?
Well, this is an interesting book that I actually kind of discovered when I was in the comic shop about a month or two ago. And I was picking up some stuff for my girlfriend and saw that on the shelf at the same time that I picked up Die. And just something about the front cover just seemed enthralling. And it's another one of those books I wanted to read, never got a chance to read. And then, we're doing the show. Let's do it, The book deals, it's kind of like, talking about it would be tough because I don't want to really necessarily spoil what happens for a new reader. But it's one of those stories where I was reading the first issue, it initially appeared to be a fantasy book. And I bought it because I thought it was a sci-fi book. And then it turns out it is a sci-fi book, which I love. And the way it's being presented, the characters are behaving in a way that as if they don't belong in that world. And you're like, oh, I know that kind of douchebag. He does, And as Doc kind of implied, it's basically a book that most of the story takes place in cyberspace, and deals with an emerging AI intelligence that has gained sentience and doesn't really realize that it's that it's living in a virtual world. And I think that's about as much as I want to say about it without ruining the plot. But when I got done reading the first 3 issues, which we were going to review for the show, I was so compelled with the end of it that I immediately bought issue 4. Excuse me. And man, it takes a turn in the 4th issue.
Okay, so we're not going to ruin that because we're only doing 1 to 3 today. Hey, Alex, what did you think about this one?
So I definitely enjoyed this. It was definitely one of those first reads where you step into this fantasy world with this assortment of characters in a almost kind of stereotypical RPG kind of setting, where it's the journey to go do a certain task. Certain things happen within it that I thought was a really good story element, and at first glance it was kind of I thought it was going a different direction. I thought it was a different type of story initially when reading it, because going into this, I went in blind. I had no knowledge of what the series was about, and I'm actually kind of glad the way that they went, because it wasn't actually what I first guessed. And it's one of those hard parts of trying to articulate something where you enjoy it very much, have certain aspects that you have in your brain that's rattling out, ready to come on out, but at the same time, you don't want to spoil for somebody else that, is maybe looking to get into the series. So I guess the big thing is I do like it. I would love to articulate more about it, but at the same time, I feel like, that's kind of that ruining the surprise of it,
Yeah.
ruining why I actually like it.
So
The only thing
why don't you hit? Why don't you hold on?
me-
Hold on. Why don't you hit the three?
Okay. All right.
Talk about the art, the lettering,
Okay.
and the story as much as outside that you can, because I understand what you're saying. I don't want to ruin this either, so I'm actually making notes of what I want to say.
Yeah.
Very good on that, Doc. So as the three goes, lettering wise, I think probably anyone that's been watching this series for the year that we've been doing it can definitely say that I am not a letterist. I'm definitely not somebody that is well written. So when there's a series that really does something hardcore horrible, that's when I notice. So in other words, I have to say it's like I felt like they did a good job on their lettering. I didn't see any kind of mistakes. I didn't see any kind of problems. As the story goes, I did get to read all 4 books, and it was a level of excitement. And I would say, like similar to Saga and some of the other ones that we've read, I actually want to pick this up, individual issues or trade paperback. And it's one of those things of, as my personal taste, I really did enjoy it. The way that the characters flew, the way that they interacted with each other, the reasons of what was going on. And even with the mystery that's going on, it isn't like a Emla Shamala kind of trope of here's what a twist. It's actually well put together. And it's kind of that level of you can see it kind of coming once you kind of know what's kind of going on with the world. And I think that's part of my hesitation of wanting to say something about it. And as art goes, I really enjoy this style. I have to say it's like the last issue that we did was Die, and the artwork was really well done, but it wasn't as appealing as this series is to me. And that's just a personal taste. And I understand that it's like, yes, Die has some really good art, but this is the style of art that I really do enjoy.
It's more straightforward, I think, and possibly complements the story better. The one in Die, the artwork is pretty out there, for sure.
Well, it was almost like paintings that you would have on the back of your wall.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why I like that one, to be honest with you. But yeah, Woody, what did you grab?
Well, the main issue that I had with the story, and it's nothing wrong with the story itself, because I loved it just as much as Alex did. But my only complaint is it's extremely close to one of the plot lines we're going to be doing in Cyber Symbiosis. And
well, you should have got on the ball and got it out first before them.
Yeah, I can only make stuff so fast. I mean, like there are some significant changes. Like it's not the same storyline, but it's pretty close, and it's like, damn it.
Well, Woody, if you were on top of it, Cyber Symbiote, you could have been like, oh, they grabbed our stuff. That's what I heard. I'm sorry, that's what I heard when Alex said that.
Well, you know what? Artists can only produce stuff so fast, and you only have so much money to spend, and whatever. But anyways, we finally started that part of the plot. So like that storyline's going to be coming out, but it's just, there's some interesting similarities between the two, and
well, you get into the thing of any aspect of sci-fi, fantasy, mystery, certain genres. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be certain level of things that are inspirations, echoes, things that are just similar. I mean, like a great example is Dennis the Menace and Dennis and Masher was pretty much within the same time period. So in the States, you had Dennis the Menace and then Dennis the Menace and Masher in the UK. Yeah. And it was just a few days separate.
Interesting.
Of like when they came out.
Well, with this story, I mean, like the reality is there's nothing particularly original about the story because we've seen stuff like this before. It like the movie the 13th Floor, which came out at the same time as The Matrix, which you had two cyberspace movies coming out at the same time. One of them was arguably more successful, and one of them was the better movie, and The Matrix wasn't. But the thing about it is like the plot line of this is something that we've seen before, and we've seen it before many times. But the thing which is interesting about this book, and which I always like to point out, is that it's a damn well executed story. It doesn't matter how original it is. Did they knock it out of the park? And I think they did. They crafted a story which it's well executed. It's a good presentation. There was nothing with the lettering that struck me as weird. Like, it's all done very high quality, professional. They had the right symbols and the right things in the right place. I was actually particularly impressed with how the letterer did their arrangement of text. It's like the artwork was good, the story was well executed, and the pacing of the story was also good as far as like revealing things in the right order and creating the right cliffhangers at the right time. I kind of wish that this main villain character wasn't as much of a douchebag, because he was just a little bit over the top. But at the same time, you see people like that in corporate America constantly, so it's very real. He's over the top, but he's also exactly the kind of thing that you expect to run into at work, and I think we all have. And then the way the boss handled it, it's like, yeah, that's what would happen. It's exactly what would happen. And so it's a really well executed, well put together, high quality story, regardless of whether it's an original concept or not. It was fun to read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
There's no original ideas anymore.
It's really tough to have one.
Because no matter what you do, Simpsons did it. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's run with that.
I like this movie, this comic. I thought it was really, really well done. It was kind of surprising when they got to the part which the storyline rolls into. And the only reason I bring that up is because I like how they used art for that. If you hear a little humming, I do apologize. I'm working on it on my end, but the art of the I don't know what I'm going to call it, but the part where you figure they let you know what's going on, it's really well done. And I enjoyed it a lot. But at first, the first time I saw that page, I was like, what the heck? And then, I'm not going to ruin the plot for you.
Are you talking about the energy stream?
Yeah. I'm not going to ruin the plot for you, but it reminded me of Red versus Blue. I'm just going to say that. There's a part in Red versus Blue that reminded me of. But this was a little bit more serious. I like... one thing that doesn't happen often enough in comic books is I don't get invested in the actions of the people that are the main characters. And my part of the story is I want to talk about that is Dai and this did a really good job in that. I didn't know either of that cast going into that, and they made me feel like I kind of get it. I understand it. I get the cast. This one, you're right, they seem more realistic. And the main players, what you see in the comic, this is how hard this is not to ruin the plot for you guys. And but the main characters, the real first characters that you see, they grab you, and you want them to succeed, and you want them to be, the guy is a douche. I get that, but he also is like trying to make the business go forward, and I get that. And it's these are little unique things. Like, you're like, I don't think I'd be that douchey, but I kind of understand the concept. You guys understand the artist. I, as an engineer, understand the deadlines, and things need to come out, and it's just what it is. And I understand that art takes time, but there's this thing called time management, and we all have to learn it, no matter how artistic we really are. The lettering
the guy's so slimy though too, like such a backstabbing son of a bitch.
I don't think so. I really think he was just being an asshole. I know what you're talking about in that one particular incident, especially.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was because of respectful, shall we say, communications, or the lack thereof. However, the storyline is, though it's not unique, it's unique. It's unique in and of itself. I like it better than, say, a television show that did the same thing. When you read it, you'll understand. Liked the first season, hated the second. Actually, I really wasn't bought into the first season either. It was okay. This, I feel like I'm more involved with. This would have been perfect for this, because now it just seems better. It's not so, I don't know, too many things are trying to do shock therapy on you. And though this is shocking, though this is cool, though the turn of events in this is really neat, it's not like in your face, the world's gonna die, this sick perverted thing happen kind of thing. It was, whoa, that was weird, and then they introduce you to the plot, and then you're like, oh. I will say, though, like you said with the lettering, I not the regular lettering, I like the self-made title. The just geometry and lines, nothing really connected, the A's aren't connected.
Yeah.
I really like that. It really, I will say it's very far and few between that a cover makes me want to read a story. The cover of this made me want to read it. And
that's why I bought it, and it's what kind of sucked me into thinking it was a sci-fi story, because you look at the way they did the issue title, it looks like the power button, or for the issue numbering.
Yeah.
Initially.
That's what I mean.
Well,
you guys see that
actually,
pop up on
one of the
screen.
best things was I didn't actually initially, because we've been reading so many different books over this years and such, and all the other stuff that I do, read and try to catch up on nerd culture, so to speak. Like, I don't know what it was, but I didn't pay attention to the cover. It was just like, okay, here's the homework assignment. It's time to read this new book and, do it for the show. And during part of it, it was just like, because initially you bought the 3 PDFs or whatever they are on Comixology. Yeah. So I read through all of them when I probably should have just been like going to sleep or, working on other stuff. Mm-hmm. And, it was like that first exposure was, I thought it was pure fantasy, so it was like, oh, here's another fantasy. But at the same time, I was totally engrossed with it. And I was super happy that you did get number 4, because it was just like, a few minutes after you said,
don't you dare ruin this for me. I haven't had a chance to go into 4. I will climb through this camera, enjoyable. I swear.
well, for me, it was actually a little bit upsetting, because I was expecting a fun sci-fi story, and then it's like, oh, it's fantasy. What? Did they pull a bait and switch on me? And then, it ended up, being exactly what I wanted it to be. And so I was like, yes, okay.
And the cool part is, it though it ends and makes you want to read the next one, I will say in the first episode was kind of a cliffhanger. The second episode, you just want to know what's going to happen, or the second comic book.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Not every comic book needs to end on some kind of thriller. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to find out what happens next as he's hanging from the cliff or whatever. It just made me want to read to find out the story. It was a very unique, though, because I don't see that very often. Sometimes when they do that in a comic book, I was like, oh, that's a perfect stop. Why'd they keep going? This one was more like, wow, yeah, it would have been a great stop if you just wanted to do a 2-issue thing. It really would have. But it made me want to read the next story as well. And very few people can actually pull that little aspect off, I think, anyways, properly.
I would like to see if we can get the creator back on, and maybe when issue 6 comes out, do the next 3.
So the next creator already said, when we do 4 through 6, give him more of a heads up, and he'll be here, the writer, because I asked, and he said it was just really bad timing. He said something about Australia, too, so I don't know where he's from exactly.
Oh. Okay.
Is it Aussie?
Well, that might affect our schedule a little bit.
It won't affect ours. He might be awake a little late, but...
Yeah.
We have...
I mean, I can step away a second and grab the comics and see if it says where he's from.
Nah, I don't think that's as important, and we only have like 10 minutes left. But the storyline... But what you were saying about lettering, I think the lettering was great because I didn't realize the lettering was there. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
It's so blended in. It's not unique in a way, and if it is unique, I miss the uniqueness. I really felt it was really easy to pay attention to who was doing what. Even when, like, I will give this a little bit, when certain characters change their appearance but are still the same characters, I didn't lose track. It was funny because the writing actually let me know that that was them, because there's a dramatic change. You'll see it when you read it. I think this comic book is really unique in that it does things that I would be careful to do if I was a writer, because I know what I like and I don't like, and it borders on that, you know what I mean? But it does it so well that it's doing it right.
On a technical aspect, one thing that really attracted my attention is that, like, when you're doing lettering and you're laying out the balloon, right? And what you want to do is you want to basically take, ideally, the positioning of all the words should kind of just be very oval and fit the space of the balloon really well. Like, and one of the things I see is that people don't, probably because of the deadlines, they don't take the time to move like, you could take a couple words from a line and pop them up to the like above, and have it fit more better, like, and be better use of the space and not leave as much dead space in the balloon. And one thing that really I was impressed with, and I don't see this very often, is the letterer who did this book took a lot of care to do that. And, you know, because I only do it that way, like, I don't perceive that it really affects your time much. It just feels sloppy if you don't take the time to, you know, more carefully craft your content like that. But, like, I was really impressed with the care that was taken in, and I could tell he was doing it, or she. I didn't look at the letterer was, but like there were times when decisions were made that I would have made, in terms of how to lay it out, that really showed that there was a really attention to detail and making sure that lines were where they needed to be, and you weren't breaking things up weird. And it's just, you could definitely tell that whoever was doing the lettering was putting a lot of extra effort into making sure that it had a good presentation.
It was a company. I remember looking at that, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a whole company. It wasn't a specific person. It said lettering, and then it said a company.
Also on Facebook, we have Susan.
Oh, awesome.
They just said hi.
Well, in our chat, Daniel is in here, and it was just funny because he commented on me telling you not to spoil it for me. He said, "Doc for fighting words."
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I think this story and the lettering feeds the story, and I know, Woody, you said before, like, that kind of is the purpose of it, and if you do it right, you see that. I also think that the story, though not unique, is unique, and that working together is something. I don't do this very often, but I highly recommend this comic book. As for the art, I loved it. I don't know about you guys, and I know you guys probably have different eyeballs than me, but just reading this, it was beautifully done. It was really well done, because the art in certain scenes when you're in one part is different than art in other scenes in another part, and it still is really good. And when the characters do change, they still represent themselves really well. And I honestly believe, just from watching you guys and watching other people do art when we go to these cons, that is not easy to do. And this was really well done in that aspect. I enjoyed this comic book a lot. In fact, why don't we shift gears and give our final thoughts? What do you want to start?
Well, this is definitely a book I want to keep reading. I mean, I've got, unfortunately, I feel like I had too many of those right now. But, like, they're books that I want to read that I know I'm not going to be able to. And I think this is one that I really want to include. Well, one of the things I've actually been doing, because we're getting ready to put out the RPG, and I've been putting together, kind of as I go along, I'm like a list of, hey, suggested reading, because it's like, there's obviously movies you should check out if you want to, get a feel for the setting. But I like the idea of putting a list of comic books that you should review, because it gives you more, like, it gives you that visual connection to what the setting could be, and ideas about what you could do with it, but also is something you could pass around and show people and more carefully flip through. And this is definitely a book that I realized I want to put on the list. There's a few others I've been thinking about too, but this is one that I would definitely put down as a recommended reading when the book comes out for GMs.
Alex, what do you think?
So, as I said, this is a book that I'm definitely planning on picking up. As I generally always say, check it out for yourself, but this is a highly recommended book.
I'm looking to see if I have room for another comic book collection.
Make room. Make another shelf.
I honestly think we did 2 in a row that were really good. That I think we all jumped into not knowing what it was going to be. Die and Self-Made, and I think we both agree that both of these are really well done. I think 2 for 2 is really weird for us. We gotta, Woody, gotta find some craptastic ones for us to do. But Self-Made, I think this might be something I might pick up when the graphic novels come out. I don't have as much room, and nor do I want to dedicate room to having a comic book collection as you guys do. But I would really like to own the actual hard copies of this. We've had them in the past where I like them, but I don't want them. Like, want to stay digital. Very far and few between do I want them. I'm starting to notice a pattern, though. Because Saga, Birthright, this one... What was my other one?
Die.
No, Rat Queens.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like there's a pattern here. It's a lot of RPG to book things. And I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's because of my RPG background, but I think I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to new things. Like, I'm good at separating. And, like, because there's been stories that I love, like Descenders. I would love to pick that up, but it seems like the second volume of that is always missing. It's always 1 and 3, and I don't... it's the engineer in me. I don't want to go out of order. I want to get them in order, and I feel stupid when I buy things out of order too. But I really do think that like this is going to make my collection, not because of that it has a slightly RPG feel. You guys will realize that when you read it, what I'm talking about. I think it's because of the uniqueness of the story and how easily it gets you drawn into the people and characters of the story itself.
Yeah.
And so for that, I think this is something that you guys got to pick up. Woody, how much? I mean, you said next couple of days, but that's not hard target, right? So just keep an eyeball at Miniature Dragon for the play testing for the RPG.
I mean, like people can sign up for play testing right now. I mean, you could just get started with it. It's just the main thing is I've needed to get the equipment list up on the site, and so I've been, working on that today, and hope to have all that set up tomorrow. But there's like. I feel like there's 100 items I'm not thinking that need to be on the list. So one of the
hence why playtesters and getting your friends to help.
Exactly. So, but for the both of you guys, I definitely would love it if you guys once I have the equipment list fully up on the site. I'd love it if you guys would read through it and go, hey, why is that not there? I'm like, that's a good question. Well, let's But with the equipment list is up, once cyberspace is in place, I mean, we pretty much are all set, to get that started. And I'll just keep adding in more content as the weeks go by because I still got to do vehicles. There's a whole bunch of character classes that we need to put up. It's just a question of like I only have so many hours in a day to work on it. So, but my goal is to have it able to be put in print by the end of the year.
Well, let me know when you want to commission your first cyberpunk wand. That'll be cool. Alex been doing...
Ooh, if it had Wi-Fi.
Right?
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Hey, you can make it look like it's got Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Alex, you've been doing stuff more on your Qgen art, I think is how you pronounce that, on YouTube.
You got it right.
Hey, I get one right a day. That's it. So you're right.
So on Sundays, I've been releasing at 1 o'clock, our time. I've been releasing episodes of Qgen, and I just released today a drawing series that I just started. It's a fusion of a mashup, basically. Mashup of my character, and today was Pokemon.
Nice.
Nice. I like where you're going with that. And like I told you guys last week, and from here forward, you can always go to docswands, that's plural.com, or docswands on any platform. See what I'm doing, see what I'm up to. I'm really good at taking pictures when I start something new or processing. So, hey, you know what? We'll see you guys next Sunday. Read more comics, keep it nerdy, and live your dreams. I love that everybody wears on.